I am happy to welcome you to Core Volunteer Training, which is a program of Citizens Climate Lobby to help you, new or newish or even experienced volunteers, to help you achieve your goals around climate advocacy. So tonight's topic is, you guessed it, social media basics, how CCL volunteers use social media. So really glad you're here. If you haven't had a chance to introduce yourself to us, you can drop your introduction in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in or zooming in from. If you would like to follow along with our slides tonight and or reference the community training that we have on this very topic, I am dropping that into the chat as well. Tonight we get to hear from our very own Ashley Hunt Martirano, and I'm going to introduce her. Drawing upon a background in psychology, political science, and environmental nonprofit management, Ashley started out her work at CCL by organizing our annual conferences and lobby days in Washington, D.C. from 2015 to 2019. Now she is solely focused on being CCL's marketing manager, where she ensures that the organizational character that inspired her to join CCL is evident in everything from print and digital resources to our CCL social media accounts on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. She is from West Virginia, moved to Long Island in 2004 to attend Stony Brook University's clinical psychology graduate program, and she landed here, right? So what a gem we have. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Ashley. Have at it, Ashley.
Great. Thanks so much, Tamara, for that energetic introduction. And thanks, everyone. It's great to see so many people here on a Tuesday night. So before we get started, I just want to take a little bit of a moment to get to know who my audience is tonight. I want to know what social media platforms you regularly use. So if you could just type into the chat what your favorite social media platform is that you use the most, that will be great. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Reddit, Snapchat, none. Maybe you're not on social media that often, but you're here tonight to learn. So I'm seeing Instagram, Twitter, none, Facebook. Love hate with Facebook, I hear ya. Okay, so we got a lot of people kind of all over the place, but it looks like okay, a little bit of LinkedIn. Okay, it looks like Instagram, if I'm looking at this correctly, is probably the most popular, at least in this group. Deleted for the week. All right, congratulations to you. Sometimes I wish I could do that, but since I do social media for CCL, I can't. Okay, so I want to see yes or no. Have you ever used social media to contact your member of Congress to ask them to sponsor a bill or do something about an issue important to you? So have you ever used social media to contact your member of Congress? Okay, so it's looking like a good number of you actually do follow your members. That's great. Okay, so this is helpful to know. So I am going to share with you an overview of what you can do on social media to support your work as a volunteer with CCL. So what should you be doing on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok? We just launched a TikTok channel back in May. So the first thing to understand is where we are on these social media channels. So those are our accounts up on the screen on every major platform. We're on LinkedIn as well. And these are the handles for the national organization. So there are chapter accounts on all of these platforms as well. But our national accounts are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where we have cumulatively tens of thousands of followers. And these accounts help people all over the world understand who we are, how we work, and what things we value, like optimism, nonpartisanship, diversity, and more. These accounts also give volunteers like you an easy way to stay up to date and connected with CCL. It's a quick, regular way for you to be able to keep in touch with us, to check in and check out the lightweight content that we're posting that you can then share with your friends and followers, or on your chapter accounts if you manage a chapter account. So make sure that you follow us on whatever platforms you're on. So The most basic way for you to get involved with social media and CCL is to follow us on our national accounts on all the platforms that you use. You don't need to follow us on a platform you don't use. If you don't want to, that's fine. Just follow us wherever you're at, and then start to like, comment on, and share posts that are interesting to you. A good idea when you first join CCL or when you first start using social media for your CCL work is for you to make at least one initial post on your social media channels. Just tell your friends and followers that you're a CCL volunteer. Tell them why you joined or what kind of projects you're working on as a CCL volunteer. It's a great way to get other people to follow us. You can tag us in your posts. And beyond this, you can take lots of different actions that relate to your other CCL activities, which I'm going to explain in a minute. And again, you don't need to sign up for platforms that you're not planning on using. If you don't want to use TikTok, you never have to go there. Just use the platforms you're comfortable with. So we often get questions about what hashtags do we recommend that folks use. And these are the three that are directly related to CCL's work: grassroots climate, bipartisan climate, and price on carbon. So you should use grassroots climate for your social media posts that show you taking some sort of grassroots action. So are you attending a meeting or writing a letter to the editor, tabling an event, giving a presentation? Those kinds of posts with that tag reinforce the message that regular people all across America care about climate change. You can use the hashtag bipartisan climate when you're posting something that relates to bipartisanship, parties working together, people talking across the aisle, or even specifically just the category of Republicans or conservatives speaking up and taking action on climate. And then the hashtag price on carbon, you can use for posts that talk about carbon pricing and specifically the Energy Innovation Act. So don't feel pressure to use all these hashtags in all your posts all the time. And in fact, using all three of them at once could be counterproductive because it could dilute the impact of each individual hashtag. So when you're creating a post, think about what the theme of your post is that you're typing up, and then choose the best one or two hashtags that would be applicable to that. And if you're wondering what a hashtag is, maybe this is a new term for you. We've got a lot of trainings on CCL Community where you can learn more about hashtags and how to use them. So you can check those out. They're very short trainings. So now let's jump into some details. If you've been through CCL's introductory trainings, you know that we use the 5 levers of political will to move Congress forward. Those levers are lobbying, media, grassroots outreach, grass tops engagement, and chapter development. Social media is a tool to support those levers. So I want to repeat that again, because this is a really important point. Social media is just a tool or something we can use as activists trying to get climate policy passed. So in the same way you may send emails or make phone calls during your work as a volunteer, any of those levers you can use social media for most of them too. So remember, social media is a tool at our disposal. So this chart is, I think, a very helpful way to think about the work that we do. So we could apply those 5 levers of political organizing to our activities on social. It's important to remember, after all, that we use different social media platforms for different kind of communications and purposes. Did you guys know that? As you can see from this grid here, Twitter is best for the levers of lobbying, where members of Congress are most active and vocal, as well as the levers of grass tops engagement, like with businesses or other influencers and media. Facebook, though, is better for grassroots outreach and is somewhat useful for lobbying, where there's one feature called Town Hall that I like for lobbying. Instagram is best for grassroots outreach and lobbying, and also can be useful for grass tops engagement, especially when you're dealing with like Instagram influencers. And I just want to throw in there something about TikTok. It's the newest player out there, so we're still learning about how powerful TikTok can be. We are finding that it's really great for grassroots outreach. And not as many media outlets or members of Congress or even businesses are on TikTok yet. but it can be really powerful because it's actually pretty easy for things to go viral on TikTok. So we can reach way more people than just follow us. So consider what lever you'd like to pull on with your social media use based on your goals or the goals of your chapter. That's always a great place to start. Think of your goals. Maybe also you're the kind of person that just is on one social media platform. So then that's fine too. So you're going to head in that direction with that platform and think about what that platform is good for. So go ahead on to the next slide. So what percentage in the chat, tell us, what percentage of members of the Senate and House do you think posted on Instagram in 2019? So think back to 2019, that was right before the pandemic. What percentage of the members of the Senate and the House do you think posted on Instagram in 2019? The answer is 80. So congratulations to those of you in that end of the spectrum. So if you go to the next slide, 80% of the House and 73% of the Senate posted on Instagram in 2019. So social media is a popular way for elected officials to communicate with constituents. And this data is from 2019, and being that we were, you know, in a virtual world all of last year, if we did these surveys in 2021, I think we would probably be at a much higher end of the House and Senate using Instagram. They all posted on Twitter, or almost all of them posted on Twitter and Facebook. So those are definitely still more usable in Congress. Instagram is one of the fastest growing social media platforms out there. It's actually 3 times more popular than Twitter and is a great place to reach out to a younger audience. And TikTok is rising quickly. And we have just, like I said, in May, launched our TikTok channel. And TikTok has actually just reached, this chart is a little bit outdated. I just read, because I'm a little bit of a social media nerd, I just read a report like last week that said that TikTok has surpassed Instagram. So in terms of people under 24. So this graph is even not completely accurate for just the young population, but TikTok has surpassed Instagram. And I just want to say here too, that if there are any of you that are interested in creating content for CCL's TikTok channel, hit me up with an email, and I'll go into more detail how you can help us out in a couple of slides towards the end. But we do have ways for anyone that's interested, not just young folks, but I'm assuming more young folks are interested in TikTok than the average volunteer. But anyone interested in TikTok, we want you to help collaborate with us on that channel. Okay, so many members of Congress, I want to touch on this for just a moment because it's a very important point, have 2 accounts per platform. So they have 2 Instagram accounts, they have 2 Twitter accounts, they have 2 Facebook accounts, 2 YouTube accounts. And that's because one is their campaign or re-election account. That's the one they start when they're running for Congress. And then if they win their election, when they get sworn in and they start passing legislation, they have to create a government account. So it's important if you're doing lobbying to be aware that there's a government account and there's a re-election campaign account. So on the screen, you can see I gave you an example of AOC, representative from the Bronx. She's got 6.7 million followers on the top account, which is her campaign account. And she's got 865,000 followers. This is her Instagram account. And the reason that it's so much lower for a government account is that obviously she was a candidate before she was an elected representative. And so she, you know, once she got into Congress, she had to tell people, hey, I have a new account, go follow me. So she had to start from scratch for that government account. So that's why that is lower followers. A note about YouTube. So we're not going to really talk much about YouTube, and even though it is technically a social media platform, but I'm just pointing this out because one of the things that we use social media for is research. We research our members of Congress and who they're trying to be seen with, who they're trying to you know, connect with, what groups are they sharing that they're meeting with, and then they also will have videos of them speaking on the floor, or maybe if they appear on broadcast media about a bill that they're supporting or trying to get passed, they can have both a YouTube account that's for their government account and one that's for their campaign account. So if you're doing research on trying to figure out where your member of Congress stands on an issue so that you can appeal to them in terms that are important to them, YouTube is a great place to go as well. So I want to tell you about a study that the Congressional Management Foundation has done. They've done surveys for decades of Capitol Hill staffers. So the Congressional Management Foundation is this nonprofit organization in DC. They actually have a lot of respect for members of Congress because they do trainings to onboard Capitol Hill staffers. So they're actually really good at collecting data from offices. And what they found when they did the survey on social media and Congress, they found that staffers generally feel social media has improved relationships between constituents and Congress. So 76% of staffers in Capitol Hill participated in the survey. They agreed or strongly agreed with the statement, social media enabled us to have more meaningful interactions with constituents. And nearly as many, 70%, agreed that social media has made members or senators more accountable to constituents. This is my favorite stat from that study. So 80% of staffers said that fewer than 30 comments, something like 10 comments on a similar topic, were enough for the office to pay attention. And that's quote, pay attention. This is a big deal for us to know. Surely most of our chapters and our volunteers can work together and organize an effort to get 10 to 20 constituents to post on social media to get the attention of a member of Congress on climate change. Very importantly though, members of Congress staff generally do not feel social media posts provide enough information to identify constituents. So every time you comment or tag a member of Congress in a post, make sure you say something like, I'm a constituent from, and then put in the name of your city, so they know that they should be listening to you and that you're not somebody that lives somewhere else, just, you know, going around tagging a bunch of different members of Congress on social media. So I want to talk about volunteer actions, and we're going to organize these by levers of political will. So as you get clearer on your goals about what levers you'd like to focus on and what platforms are most appropriate, it'll be easier to understand exactly what actions to take on social media. I'll give you some high-level examples here. We'll break it down by each lever of political will. And these are just high-level ideas. If you want detailed specifics for how to take these actions, again, we've got lots of training videos on community, on various platforms, and ways to engage in those platforms. So social media for lobbying Congress. First, you got to find and follow your representatives and senators on the platforms you use. And it sounds like about half of you, at least, are already doing that. So that's great. Members of Congress are most active on Twitter, and they're starting to be more active on Instagram. Interact with your members of Congress by leaving positive comments on their posts, encouraging them when they speak up about climate. Post your own content and tag your members of Congress. So maybe photos of your chapter activities, relevant LTEs, news articles, etc., and use the hashtag grassroots climate. And then again, an underrated use of social media is using it for research. So who do they share photos or videos of them with? What groups do they want to be seen with? What events do they have coming up? Who do they follow or tag? So do your research, and that can help you hone your strategy with them. So this is an example on the next slide of a great tweet that the Silver Spring Tacoma Park chapter of CCL put out. We had a great turnout for today's meeting. Look at everyone getting ready for our next lobby day with @Nebraska. I heart our volunteers, hashtag grassroots climate. Love this tweet because they tagged their representative @Nebraska in this. So then that office got a notification about this tweet, and so basically they got a warning. Hey, we're meeting to meet with you, and we're working on our pitch, and you know, so that office was able to see that ahead of time. Love that they used a hashtag grassroots climate. My only feedback for this tweet would be, I wish they would have tagged Citizens Climate Lobby in the tweet as well. We could have retweeted it then. The next slide is an example on Instagram. So this chapter took one of those Zoom selfies, right, that we are all familiar with, and they had a meeting with their rep. This is from Virginia. They, again, did a great job. They tagged at Rep Don Buyer in their, I know it's a little bit hard to see, but in their caption on Instagram, they tagged them, and then they used several different hashtags. It's a little bit more socially acceptable to use more hashtags on Instagram. And for whatever reason, people just tend to use more hashtags, so they used a couple different ones there, but they did a great job there. Again, feedback would be the same as the last one. Tag at Citizens Climate in your tweets and your Instagram and your stories so that we can share them. Okay, so next let's talk about the lever of media relations. So you can post about your media successes, like published LTEs, op-eds, editorial endorsements, or articles that feature CCL. You can follow and interact with your local media outlets and journalists. And that's especially relevant on Twitter, where the media is most active. And then you can even sometimes use social media to build a relationship with your local media outlets and journalists, and maybe pitch them ideas for stories where they could feature CCL or your climate volunteer work. So this next slide is a good example of a CCL volunteer that wrote a letter to the editor and took a picture, since Instagram only really works if you're posting pictures or videos. So they took a picture of them holding up their letter. And I love what they did here by tagging the newspaper. So they tagged the newspaper where this was printed. So then that gives the opportunity to the newspaper to share this if they want to. So let's talk about grass tops outreach. So you can post about your grass top successes. So any local endorsements you're getting, or if you got a city council resolution passed, you can share those successes on your social media channels. You can also follow and interact with grass top leaders, so businesses or faith leaders or local politicians, to see what their priorities are according to their social media channels and inform your real life outreach to them. So just use it as research and do your homework on whoever it is you're trying to reach out to. So this next one is an example of my own chapter on Long Island. We secured endorsements from a couple of local vineyards on Long Island. And I know you might be saying, wine, Long Island, really? And yes, we've got an excellent wine industry if you're ever in the area. Hit me up, I will tell you which places to go to. We are so excited, and we're gonna spend a little bit of a local social hour at some point over the summer at these vineyards, Palmer Vineyard and Palmanock Vineyard, because they endorse the wine declaration. So we created this little graphic using Canva, which I'll get into in a few minutes, and thanked them for their endorsement. And then we tagged the vineyards in our Facebook post and used appropriate hashtags and shared this on our social media channels. Social media for grassroots outreach. So you can use Facebook events, which is probably one of the most popular events platforms out there when you're having any kind of grassroots outreach activity. So you can create a Facebook event for your chapter meeting every month, if you have like a big environmental event in your area. So I recommend using Facebook if you have events, because that can help promote your event to a wider audience than just your chapter. I recommend using social media for grassroots outreach by posting photos that show your group's activities and can attract new members. So if you're doing tabling or lobbying meetings, take photos of those and then share those on your social media. And here's just a little sidebar pro tip, which is that if you're trying to recruit a younger audience for your chapter, maybe some college students or younger volunteers, use photos of your current younger people in your social media posts, because if they see it in your social media feeds, it will be more attractive to them. They'll see that there are young people involved and that they will not be alone. Then the last thing I'll point out is to share interesting content from CCL's national Facebook page to start conversations with your friends and family. So here is an example of an event that happened prior to COVID. From Dallas Fort Worth. They went to a festival and collected over 100 constituent letters back when we were collecting pieces of paper. And so they took photos at this event of them talking to people and meeting with the public. And now they shared those online. So not only was the event a success and who they reached in person, but now they're talking about it online and reaching more people. It also lets people know, like, these are the kinds of activities that volunteers do. And so people can better understand, okay, if I were a volunteer there, those are kinds of things that I would do. Maybe, you know, is that interesting to me? So that's why posting a wide array of photos of your volunteers doing all sorts of activities for your chapter is super important, because if you want somebody to help out with social media, maybe people don't know that's one of the volunteer opportunities that you have. So maybe you want to get someone, you know, a selfie photo of someone that's, you know, posting on social media to say, you know, that that's what you're looking for. So share the opportunities, share the ways that volunteers can be involved in your chapter in the photos that you're sharing. And then chapter development. So I'm going to direct folks to community. We've got all sorts of trainings, like I've said several times, on social media for a wide range of topics. We've got trainings on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I know I've talked to a lot of volunteer leaders over the last couple of months when I did presentations for the conference and whatnot, that a lot of folks are trying to merge into Instagram. So I just want to point out specifically, we've got some good Instagram trainings, including a training I did on Citizens Climate University on Instagram advanced stuff to know. So if you're a beginner on Instagram or you want to enhance your Instagram skills, there's a bunch of trainings on community that you can access. And then the last thing I would just point out is to join our social media action team, and I will talk more about that in a few minutes. So again, this training, there's a lot of different resources. It's organized. You can go in and look for the Twitter trainings, or go in and look for trainings for lobbying Congress on social media. And kind of depending on whatever way you're looking for it, we've probably got it. We are going to be not too far in the future putting together some trainings on TikTok as well. So if you're interested in that, that will be available probably by the end of the summer. So I really want to encourage you, again, to think of social media as a tool for pulling on each of the levers of political will and to use whichever platform is appropriate to do that work. But I know from talking to volunteers over the years that many people might only use one platform. Maybe you signed up for a Facebook account to keep up with your kids and you don't use other social media, or maybe you started using Instagram in middle school, but you're not on Twitter or Facebook. So because of that, I've organized the same content, but based on the platforms. So these are just high level ideas. Again, if you want specific details, you can check out our training videos. If you are just a Twitter person, you can do things like post photos of group meetings and outreach events and use the hashtag grassroots climate and tag Citizens Climate where it makes sense. You can share links to LTEs and other media. You can follow and interact with your members of Congress and with CCL. If you're just on Facebook, you can use Facebook to do things like share content from CCL's national page, host Facebook events for when you've got things organized locally. You can also, this is another pro tip, you can also go and look at local events, find out what local events are happening. And maybe you'll see like an environmental event, or you'll see like a farmer's market. And so by searching Facebook events, you can see how you can insert yourself into the public sphere and maybe get some tabling events out of using the Facebook events feature just to search what's going on in your area. Another thing on Facebook is to activate the town hall feature and interact with your members of Congress there. So if you just type in facebook.com/townhall, it'll walk you through that. If you don't have that turned on, it'll ask for your address, not because it's going to share it, but because it wants to be able to look up who your members of Congress are. Then it will turn on what's called a constituent badge. And so if you comment on your representative or senator's Facebook pages from that point forward. If you turn on the town hall feature, it will show a little tiny icon beside your name that tells them that you're a constituent of theirs and is verified by Facebook. So that is one cool thing. So like if I go comment on my congressman's Facebook page, his staff will know that, yes, I'm someone they should listen to, and I'm not just popping in from the Pacific Northwest. Instagram. So let's see here. So you can post photos and stories from your local events and your CCL activities, videos as well. Use the hashtag grassroots climate and tag citizens climate in your posts and stories. And I just want to say that Instagram stories are becoming very popular. I love when volunteers tag us in their own story videos, content, whatever they're posting on their stories. So if you are using Instagram stories, definitely tag us in your outreach. I had a video last week that a volunteer posted. It was her Call Congress day. You know, she's part of the monthly calling campaign. And so she was getting ready to call her member of Congress. And she posted this cute video, this real quick selfie video, 15 seconds. And she's like, you know, in the amount of time it took me to brew my coffee this morning, I called my representative and my 3 senators. And she tagged us in that video, and so we were able to share that. So it was, I love seeing stuff like that. We have a bunch of young volunteers and interns that when it's their monthly calling campaign, call-in day, they will tag us, and then I share that to our stories. You can also interact with members of Congress or influencers and other accounts you follow to spread the word about CCL. So I want to take a couple of minutes. We've been talking about individual activities on social media, but you might also be running a chapter account on social media. So I just want to talk about some ways to coordinate good chapter content. So we recommend appointing one or more, recommend more if you can. One or more people in your chapter that's an active social media user to make sure that chapter activities are being posted about on social media. And those posts can be made from a chapter social media account if your chapter has them, or from a personal account. And I just want to point out too, if you've got high school or college students in your chapter, this would definitely be something they would excel at. If you're a high school or a college student on the call tonight, and you're involved in your local chapter, and you're like, hey, I'm good at social media and I want to learn how to use it professionally, reach out and see if your chapter needs any help, if this is interesting to you. Because, you know, younger people tend to just pick this stuff right up, and it's not hard for them. So we have a social media action team that I just wanted to tell you about and invite you to consider joining. As part of this team, volunteers have opportunities to help with strategic efforts, such as posting supportive comments to members of Congress who are speaking up about climate change or taking action. And we have rapid response action opportunities, such as when articles come out about CCL or CCL's social media content we'd like to really spread widely. We will make a post in the social media action team Facebook group and alert people, hey, we've got this happening. Can you go and comment on this to help it spread and help more people see it? The team is also a great place to get reminders and ideas about what you and your chapter can be posting. And it's a great place for you to ask each other questions about social media use. So the other great thing is that you can have direct access to myself and Flannery Winchester, who's our communications director, because she and I run this group ourselves. So if you're interested in joining, you can type that URL that's going to pop up on the screen. You can type that in to a browser and it'll take you to the Facebook group. We have about 700 volunteers in this action team. And I will point out, this is an action team that, you know, we don't have like any monthly meetings or anything that is super time consuming. So if you're just wanting to kind of have some occasional social media actions that you can take, but you just don't have a lot of time to commit to being super active, this is a good action team to join because We've got a wide range of different things that you can do in the action team and still be productive and know that your little bit of time spent on doing something can have an impact. So I just want to point out, this is this is a volunteer video from TikTok. Her name is Joy McCreary. She is awesome. Her TikTok handle is Time for Climate Hope in the top left corner of the screen. This video has over 250,000 views now. It had 200,000 views when I made this screenshot a while ago. And 65,000 likes, 1,520 comments. Oh my gosh, she had to go in and reply to a bunch of those comments, you guys. And she spent hours and hours and hours and days replying to comments. People were asking questions about like, you know, how do I call Congress? I'm really nervous. I never talk on the phone. You know, is this policy, the Energy Innovation Act, really going to reduce emissions? How does it work? All sorts of really great questions. TikTok is a really fun grassroots recruitment opportunity. We've seen people actually click through to our website. We actually had somebody email, they visited the Energy Innovation Act website and actually emailed me a question from TikTok the other day because they saw one of our videos. So that was exciting to go from somebody seeing us on TikTok to somebody asking us a question in real life. So I just encourage you, if you're on TikTok, follow Joy, Time for Climate Hope. She's got great videos. And then also follow us at Citizens Climate. And I want to let you know how you can get involved if you're interested in helping us with creating content on TikTok. So you can join our social media action team. And then in the community forum for the social media action team, because we've got a page on community, and then we've got a Facebook page, a Facebook group rather, for the action team. On the community end of things, there is a TikTok collaborators forum. So I would encourage you to join the TikTok collaborators forum. And I'll post that in the comments. I don't think I gave that link ahead of time to Tamara, but if you join the TikTok collaborators forum, I've got ways that you can pitch ideas to us. If you have a crazy video idea, something fun, engaging, lighthearted, I had a volunteer who's part of the youth action team reach out, who's interested in doing a video called A Day in the Life of a CCL Volunteer. So she's going to record a bunch of different ways that she is a CCL volunteer and what she does and what that means as a young person being a volunteer. And then she's going to give me that video and we're going to share it on our channel. So we really want this particular social media platform to be interactive with our volunteers. I know that a lot of volunteers come up with video ideas and then they're not really sure what to do with their video ideas or how to execute them or where they can share them. So this is actually a good place, a good opportunity if you've got a creative idea to contribute something to video content. So I want to take a moment to just touch on tone and values. So just as we do in lobby meetings, it's important to bring respect, appreciation, and gratitude to your social media interactions on behalf of CCL. It's especially true if you're interacting with your member of Congress. So please do not insult, pester, or shame your member of Congress when you're talking about CCL. You also want to be careful with sarcasm and even sometimes humor because it doesn't always come across clearly online. So we recommend keeping your tone straightforward and conveying those core values of respect, appreciation, and gratitude. So these guidelines are true as you engage with others on social media too. So you might encounter someone who does not support carbon pricing, does not like the idea of bipartisanship, or just disagrees with you in some other way. So if you're unable to engage with that person in a respectful way, or you feel yourself getting frustrated, that's usually a good indicator that maybe you need to log off. So now that we've discussed where we're active and why we are posting on those platforms, let's talk about the content we're sharing briefly. So there are some themes or stories we always tell on each platform. And these stories are strategically based off of what usually performs well or makes the most sense for that platform. So what's successful on Twitter, for example, won't always make the most sense for Facebook or Instagram, vice versa. So here are the stories we tell on Facebook. We tell the stories, it might surprise you who's trying to solve climate change. Grassroots action will change the world, like with the Energy Innovation Act. and CCL offers you context for and the opportunity to discuss relevant current events. So on Twitter, we post stories such as the Energy Innovation Act is a robust climate solution backed by grassroots support. Bipartisan climate solutions have the most political viability, and CCL is informed and involved participant in climate policy discussions, specifically the leader on carbon pricing legislation. And then on Instagram, we try to lead with young people and feature that they are taking the lead on climate change. Instagram on average has a younger audience than the other two big platforms. We also talk about grassroots climate action and how that will change the world, like through the Energy Innovation Act and carbon pricing policies. And then we also talk about how CCL is a good organization if you're a young person concerned about climate change. So we also have fun ways to interact on Instagram. If you are doing stories on Instagram, these Giphies are available to you to use. I love these. Our graphic designer, Brianna Cook, designed these for us. And these are fun stickers you can use in Instagram stories. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Canva templates available so you can look professional and be on brand. We don't want you reinventing the wheel, and Instagram especially can be a platform where you spend a lot of time because you have to create graphics or find photos to use, because on Instagram you can't really share links. You can learn more about how to share links if you need to in the Instagram trainings on CCL community. But mostly you get one link on Instagram and that's it. You can put a link tree or a link in bio link there, but for the most part, you're going to need to create some graphics. So CCL Canva templates make everybody a graphic designer because they're pre-designed and you can just edit them with new text or new photos. But they already have all the colors, all the fonts, everything is already uploaded. As you can see, all of these slides are beautiful, and these were all designed by Brianna Cook, our graphic designer. Again, so we paid for her to design these Canva templates, so we hope that you use them. So the first thing to do is to go to cclusa.org/Canva templates, and then from there it'll ask what size template you want to use. So do you want to use Instagram posts, which would be square, Instagram or Facebook stories, which are vertical, or Facebook or Twitter posts, which are horizontal. Facebook events are slightly annoying. There's slightly different horizontal dimensions than the posts. And then we've got CCL chapter logos. So if you don't have a chapter logo for your chapter profiles on social media yet, there's a template for that, and it takes like less than 5 minutes to get your logo downloaded with your own chapter name on it. And all of those are kind of available on community, and there's even a training. If you've never used Canva before, there is a training available on community for how you can use Canva and start having beautiful images for your social media graphics. You can also use them for emails or to make flyers, all sorts of things. So if you are running a social media account for CCL, for your chapter, I recommend you recruit a volunteer or more than one to oversee and manage your chapter social media. Again, it's good for younger members who maybe can't attend meetings live. It's a good way for folks that maybe are just not able to commit. Maybe they got young kids and so they can't be there in person. This is a good way for them to stay active with your chapter. I recommend having 2 to 3 people admin backups just in case somebody gets locked out of the platform or passwords get changed or whatever. It's always good to have people that can be backups to get in there. Then after you've got yourself set up with an account for your chapter, you got to get likes, which is the hard part. And but one of the ways you can get likes and get followers is to invite volunteers and friends and family to follow you. And that includes at your monthly meeting. So during your monthly meeting, make social media part of your agenda. I cannot stress that enough. Every monthly meeting, every action sheet that we put out for CCL has ways for your chapter to take action on social media. We've also got that in the weekly briefing and newsletter that comes out every Wednesday. So there's always some kind of social media action. So Make social media part of your chapter efforts. That way people get used to taking action online too. So again, follow us on the channels you're on. Like, comment, share, repeat. Please engage with our content on social media. It helps us when you comment and share and like our stuff, because then more people will see it. And then join our social media action team if you're interested in getting active with a couple actions a week to consider doing. And I'll just point out that the social media action team, there are a couple questions you have to answer. It's a private group. We're just trying to make sure we don't get any bots or trolls. So just make sure you answer those questions so I know you're a real live CCL volunteer, and then we will admit you to the group.
What are you taking away from this? Did you learn something new? Is there something? And point you to our community forums. If you do have any questions, we have a very robust forum system, cclusa.org/forums. As Ashley mentioned, we also have a social media action team, and they would be happy to help you with any of your social media needs. That would be cclusa.org/CCL social. Or you can email a real live person directly, and my guess is that she will get back to you. So Ashley at citizensclimate.org. It doesn't get easier than that. We've got 3 opportunities for you. So thank you for being here. Wonderful to have you. Wonderful to see you. Thank you, Ashley, for all of your efforts to give us this presentation tonight. And have a wonderful evening.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Citizens Climate Lobby's training program. You can tune into more episodes anywhere podcasts are available. Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Citizens Climate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration. And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.